Today we'll delve into the history and design of the iconic Star Wars line of ships, Mandator-class Star Dreadnoughts. Fasten your seatbelts and subscribe for more Star Wars content. Nordy is here, and it's time to get started. The Mandator-class Star Dreadnought was a significant warship developed by Kuat Drive Yards around 42 BBY as the flagship of the Kuat sector's defense fleet. It was designed to be a powerful and heavily armed warship capable of dominating its enemies, serving as a precursor to the even more powerful warships that would emerge during the Clone Wars. The Mandator class was built with a humpback design, which was a feature shared with its predecessor, the Procurator-class Star Battlecruiser, and it was the first starship to officially receive the Dreadnought designation from the Anaxes War College, an institution responsible for starship classification and strategy development. In terms of specifications, the Mandator class was 8,000 meters long, making it a substantial presence in any space battle. Despite being heavily armed, the Ruusan Reformation, a set of galactic regulations, imposed limitations on the speed and armament of the Mandator class, restricting its potential compared to future designs. These regulations were a result of efforts to prevent overzealous militarization in the galaxy. Despite these restrictions, the Mandator class was still considered a formidable warship, capable of engaging larger threats. One of the defining features of the Mandator-class Star Dreadnought was its ventral protrusion, which housed a large reactor that powered the ship's systems. This design element not only provided the ship with sufficient power, but also contributed to its distinctive shape. At the time of the Clone Wars, 7 Mandator-class Star Dreadnoughts were in active service, spread across various sectors of the galaxy. 3 of these ships were stationed in the Kuat sector, while the remaining ships were assigned to the Azure, Ixtlar, Alsaka, and Humbarine sectors. These vessels played an important role in defending their respective regions, bolstering the military presence of the Galactic Republic. As the Clone Wars progressed, the Mandator class began to be replaced by more advanced designs. The Mandator II class Star Dreadnought, which was introduced during the Clone Wars, featured heavier armor, more advanced weaponry, and improved hyperdrive capabilities, making it a more effective and durable warship in combat. Additionally, some of the original Mandator-class ships were refitted to enhance their combat effectiveness, giving them a second lease on life during the conflict. Despite being eventually overshadowed by newer designs, the Mandator-class Star Dreadnought remains an important part of the history of Republic warships and military strategy. The Mandator II class Star Dreadnought was a crucial warship developed by Kuat Drive Yards for the Galactic Republic during the final years of the Clone Wars. This ship was an upgraded version of the original Mandator-class Star Dreadnought, designed to serve as a heavy and powerful backbone for the Republic Navy. The Mandator II class was introduced around 19 BBY, just before the end of the war, and quickly became a vital asset in the Republic's military arsenal. With a length of 8,000 meters, the Mandator II class was a significant presence in space. It was equipped with a hypermatter annihilation reactor capable of producing a peak power output of 7.73 times 10 to the 26th watts, allowing it to sustain its enormous size and devastating firepower. This made it one of the most formidable vessels in the galaxy at the time. The ship was specifically designed to withstand prolonged engagements and heavy fire, making it ideal for confronting the Separatist fleet, which consisted of numerous Recusant-class light destroyers. The Mandator II class was capable of enduring assaults from up to 1,000 of these ships simultaneously, a feat beyond the capabilities of smaller ships like the Venator-class Star Destroyer, which was more commonly deployed in the Republic Navy. The Mandator II class's ability to withstand such heavy fire while continuing to operate effectively made it a valuable asset in large-scale battles and prolonged sieges. Kuat Drive Yards, which had previously been affiliated with the Techno-Union, severed its ties with the faction prior to the Clone Wars, and began focusing on building ships specifically for the Republic. The Mandator II class was one of the first results of this shift in focus. It was a heavily upgraded version of the original Mandator-class Star Dreadnought, which had been primarily used for the defense of the Kuat sector during peacetime. The Mandator class was the first ship of its kind to receive the Dreadnought designation, a term that reflected the immense size and firepower of these vessels. Although the Mandator II class was larger and more powerful than the original Mandator, it still maintained the general design principles of the earlier ship, with a strong emphasis on heavy firepower and sturdy armor. The Mandator II class served as a key component of the Republic Navy during the Clone Wars, complementing the more agile and versatile Venator-class Star Destroyer. The Venator class, with its focus on versatility and carrier capabilities, was the primary vessel used by the Republic throughout the war. However, the Mandator II class was designed to act as a heavy hitter, ideal for taking on large groups of enemy ships and enduring extended battles. As such, the Mandator II class was used in fewer numbers compared to the Venator class, but it was still an important asset in the Republic's military strategy. The Republic Navy, now centralized under the authority of Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, relied heavily on ships like the Mandator II class to protect vital systems and launch decisive offensives against the Separatists. The Mandator II class was produced in fewer numbers than the Venator class, but its design and capabilities were nonetheless highly praised. While the Jedi generals were often credited with the Republic's victories, the ships themselves, including the Mandator II class, played a crucial role in the Republic's success. The Mandator II class was also highly effective in countering the Separatists' Reactor-class destroyers, which had been a common threat during the Clone Wars. With its heavily reinforced hull and powerful reactor, the Mandator II class was built to withstand heavy fire and keep fighting in the heat of battle. The design of the Mandator II class would go on to influence many other warship designs in the galaxy, particularly in the Galactic Empire era. As the Clone Wars wound down and the Empire began to rise, the Mandator II class was gradually overshadowed by newer, more advanced ships, such as the Imperial-class Star Destroyers. Despite this, the Mandator II class left a lasting legacy in the evolution of warship design, and its heavy firepower and formidable presence made it one of the most important vessels of the Clone Wars era. The Mandator II class Star Dreadnought would later be surpassed by other warships, including the Bellator-class and Mandator II class Dreadnoughts, which took elements from both the Mandator and Mandator II designs, while enhancing various aspects of their performance. These newer ships incorporated lessons learned from the Mandator II class and were tailored to meet the demands of the post-war galactic environment. The Mandator II class Star Dreadnought, with its impressive size, firepower, and durability, played a key role in the Republic's naval dominance during the Clone Wars. Its design principles influenced the direction of starship development throughout the rest of the galaxy's history, cementing its place as one of the most important warships of its time. Though its time in service was relatively brief compared to the more iconic ships that followed, the Mandator II class left an indelible mark on the Republic Navy and the broader military landscape of the galaxy. The Mandator IV class Star Dreadnought was a formidable warship, enhanced with advanced weaponry designed for overwhelming destruction. One of its most impressive features was its orbital autocannons, two massive cannons mounted on the ship's hull. These autocannons could fire a salvo of 2 rounds in quick succession, delivering devastating damage to any target in their path. However, these weapons required a recharge after firing, meaning they could not sustain an unrelenting rate of fire for prolonged periods, but made up for it with sheer power. These orbital autocannons were far beyond the capabilities of many weapons used by previous Imperial Navy officers like Moden Kennedy. Their design was not only about delivering heavy firepower, but also about eradicating life and matter on a planetary scale. A single shot from these autocannons had the potential to obliterate planetary deflector shields with ease, rendering them practically useless against the Mandator IV's attack. The weapon could also vaporize large sections of a planet's crust, transforming hundreds of cubic meters of solid material into vapor and slag, which would have catastrophic effects on any world targeted. During the Battle of Dakar, the Mandator IV class's orbital autocannons were considered the most dangerous weapons on the battlefield. The mere presence of these dreadnoughts in the engagement was enough to shift the balance of power, as their destructive potential posed a grave threat to the resistance forces. The sheer power and precision of these cannons made the Mandator IV class one of the most feared ships in existence, capable of decimating enemy fleets and laying waste to entire planets if left unchecked. The Mandator IV class's weaponry solidified its reputation as one of the most dangerous and lethal warships to ever enter combat. The Mandator IV class Star Dreadnought was a monumental achievement in warship design, combining raw firepower with cutting-edge technologies to create one of the most formidable capital ships in the galaxy. Designed primarily as a centerpiece for the First Order's fleet, the Mandator IV class was built to be both an offensive juggernaut and a defensive stronghold. Its weapons and auxiliary systems were some of the most advanced seen in a starship of its class, making it a true terror on the battlefield. At the heart of the Mandator IV class's destructive capabilities were its orbital autocannons, twin weapons that had no equal in terms of sheer power. These autocannons were capable of launching a salvo of 2 rounds each in quick succession before requiring a recharge period, making them lethal against both enemy capital ships and planetary defenses. The energy requirements to fire these weapons were so immense that only a ship with the Mandator IV's massive reactor could support their operation. The autocannons themselves were designed to obliterate planetary shields, as though they were nothing more than a thin layer of dust, and to reduce hundreds of cubic meters of planetary crust to vapor and slag with a single shot. The destructive potential of these weapons made them a nightmare for any fleet in the galaxy. In particular, they were designed with the intent to scour planets of all life, and during the Battle of Dakar, they were said to be the most dangerous ships in the fight. Powering these massive guns was the hypermatter annihilation reactor that served as the Mandator IV's energy source. This reactor allowed the ship to generate the vast amounts of power necessary to maintain its weapon systems and shields, while also providing ample energy to its auxiliary systems. However, the sheer amount of energy required to operate the orbital autocannons meant that the Mandator IV class had a moderate rate of fire. It could launch its deadly salvo in quick succession, but each shot would deplete the ship's energy reserves, necessitating a cooldown period to prevent overheating and ensure that all systems remained operational. The autocannon's aiming speed was incredibly fast due to an advanced targeting system that allowed the ship to track even the most agile enemy fighters with precision. It could calculate firing solutions within milliseconds, adjusting for the target's speed, trajectory, and the shifting conditions of space. These calculations were made with remarkable accuracy, ensuring that each shot struck its intended target with deadly precision. The Mandator IV class was not only an offensive powerhouse, but also had a state-of-the-art cooling system designed to manage the heat generated by its weapons. The orbital autocannons produced incredible amounts of thermal energy with each discharge, requiring the ship to rely on highly efficient thermal regulators and coolant channels embedded within the weapons themselves. These cooling systems allowed the Mandator IV to continue firing even in prolonged engagements without risk of overheating, ensuring that its offensive capabilities were always ready when needed. While the autocannons were the Mandator IV class's most destructive weapons, the ship was equipped with a range of auxiliary systems that further bolstered its combat effectiveness. The point defense laser cannons located on the ship's dorsal surface, 26 in total, were designed to protect the Dreadnought from smaller threats like starfighters and missiles. These point defense lasers had exceptional tracking speeds, allowing the Mandator IV class to fend off swarming enemy craft with deadly efficiency. These systems worked in tandem with the ship's 6 tractor beam projectors mounted on the bow, which could be used to capture or disable enemy ships or to clear debris from the battlefield. The tractor beams were also effective in slowing down enemy ships, allowing the autocannons more time to make their mark. The Mandator IV class's defensive systems were a crucial part of its design. Though it had powerful offensive weapons, it was also well protected from enemy fire. The ship's hull was reinforced with heavy armor plating capable of withstanding direct hits from other capital ships, and its deflector shields provided an additional layer of protection. The point defense laser cannons served as a defensive umbrella against smaller vessels, while the tractor beams helped prevent enemy ships from closing in on the Mandator IV class. The Mandator IV class was also equipped with highly efficient auxiliary control systems that ensured smooth operation during combat. These systems allowed the ship's crew to quickly respond to damage, recalibrate the weapons, and even override some of the ship's functions in case of a catastrophic failure. For example, if the ship's main reactor or weapon systems were compromised, the crew could reroute energy or shift resources to vital systems to keep the Mandator IV operational. In terms of firepower, the Mandator II class was considered to have more firepower than a dozen Star Destroyers combined. This immense offensive capability made it an unstoppable force when deployed in the right situation. Its orbital autocannons could obliterate entire fleets of enemy ships, while its point defense weapons ensured that the Dreadnought was always prepared for close-range combat with starfighters. The Mandator IV was not just a warship, it was a ship of annihilation, designed to turn the tide of battle with a single salvo. The Mandator IV class was, in essence, a test project that laid the groundwork for the development of even more powerful ships, including the Ziston-class Star Destroyer. Several features of the Mandator IV class, such as its weapon systems and auxiliary technologies, were incorporated into the design of later ships, cementing its place as a cornerstone in the evolution of the First Order's naval superiority. The Mandator IV class was not only an incredibly powerful weapon, but it also marked a turning point in starship design, combining massive firepower with advanced technology to create a ship capable of dominating any battlefield. In summary, the Mandator IV class Star Dreadnought was a masterclass in warship design, balancing extreme offensive power with advanced defensive systems and auxiliary technologies. Its orbital autocannons, point defense lasers, tractor beam projectors, and cooling systems made it one of the most formidable warships in existence, capable of devastating entire planets and fleets. As the flagship of the First Order's fleet, it was the ultimate symbol of military might, unstoppable, deadly, and poised to reshape the galaxy. The Mandator IV class Star Dreadnought was equipped with a sophisticated and powerful propulsion system, designed to provide the ship with the necessary speed, acceleration, and maneuverability to excel in various combat situations. This combination of main sublight engines and maneuvering thrusters made the Mandator IV class a formidable force in both offensive and defensive engagements. The starship's main sublight engines, 4 massive drive units, were responsible for propelling the entire Dreadnought across vast distances in normal space. These engines were powered by a high-output hypermatter annihilation reactor, which provided an immense amount of energy to propel the ship to high speeds. Despite the ship's enormous size and mass, 8,000 meters in length, the Mandator IV class was surprisingly fast for its class, with the ability to reach sublight speeds that rivaled smaller warships. These engines were specifically engineered to provide the Mandator IV class with sufficient acceleration while maintaining fuel efficiency for prolonged operations in the field. However, given the massive power output, the engine systems required constant maintenance and recalibration to keep them running at optimal levels. The acceleration time of the Mandator IV class was impressive, allowing it to move into battle positions rapidly, making it a significant threat to enemy ships that were less agile. The primary sublight engines were built with multiple redundancies, ensuring that even if one or more engines were damaged, the ship could still maintain a reasonable velocity. The maneuvering engines, 6 thrusters located along the stern of the Dreadnought, provided the additional agility needed for close-quarters combat or evasive maneuvers. These thrusters allowed the Mandator IV class to make sharp turns or fine-tune its positioning during combat engagements. The maneuverability of the Dreadnought was therefore not just about speed, but also about precision and the ability to stay in the optimal firing arc while keeping enemy ships in range. The energy distribution systems on the Mandator IV class were designed to ensure that power from the hypermatter reactor was efficiently channeled to the various subsystems of the ship, including propulsion, weapons, shields, and auxiliary systems. These systems were optimized for high performance, allowing the Mandator IV to function smoothly across its multiple systems during combat. The sheer scale of the ship meant that its energy distribution systems were incredibly complex, with dedicated conduits and circuit relays to ensure that each system received the power it needed without causing an overload. The cooling systems were another crucial part of the Mandator IV's engineering. The engines generated significant amounts of heat, especially in high-intensity operations or during combat. To manage this, the ship employed an advanced thermal regulation system capable of dissipating heat through multiple channels, radiators, and heat sinks strategically placed across the ship's hull. The cooling system was also tied into the reactor's thermal output, ensuring that no critical systems overheated. This cooling system extended beyond the engines, also regulating the temperatures of the ship's weapons and auxiliary systems, like the orbital autocannons, which generated immense amounts of thermal energy with every discharge. Given the complexity of its propulsion systems, the maintenance of the Mandator IV class required highly skilled engineers and technicians. The starship's engine units were particularly sensitive to fluctuations in energy output, requiring routine diagnostics and repairs. Regular maintenance checks were essential to prevent malfunctions that could potentially cripple the ship during operations. In addition, the large number of moving parts, ranging from the thrusters to the power conduits, meant that the Dreadnought was in a constant state of technical upkeep, particularly when deployed for extended campaigns. The maneuvering thrusters provided precise control, allowing the Dreadnought to change course quickly, adjust its positioning relative to enemy targets, or avoid incoming projectiles. Their ability to operate independently from the main engines was a critical advantage, enabling the Mandator IV class to execute complex maneuvers during battles. Their versatility was especially evident during engagements involving starfighters or other fast-moving small ships, where speed and tight maneuverability could be the difference between hitting or missing a target. While the primary propulsion system relied on the 4 main sublight engines, it was the integration of these systems, the combination of high-speed propulsion, precise maneuvering thrusters, and power-efficient energy distribution, that truly set the Mandator IV class apart from other warships. The ship was not only capable of devastating long-range bombardments with its orbital autocannons, but it could also reposition itself quickly, track down elusive targets, and adapt to any situation that arose on the battlefield. In terms of power and technical specifications, the Mandator IV class was one of the most well-engineered warships of its time. Its sublight engines, combined with the maneuvering thrusters, allowed it to operate with both brute force and finesse, ensuring that it could dominate in large-scale fleet battles while remaining agile enough to face smaller, more nimble opponents. The careful integration of these systems made the Mandator IV class a truly versatile ship, powerful, efficient, and ready to take on any challenge presented by the galaxy's most formidable enemies. The Mandator IV class Star Dreadnought was an exceptionally powerful warship, designed with a hyperdrive system that played a crucial role in its strategic capabilities. The ship's hyperdrive system was integrated into the broader design of the vessel, ensuring it could traverse vast distances across the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds, a necessity for any warship of this scale. This enabled the Mandator IV class to engage in interplanetary operations, launch surprise attacks, and reinforce distant sectors quickly, giving it a critical edge in galactic-scale warfare. The hyperdrive's efficiency and reliability were of the utmost importance, as the Dreadnought's operational strategy relied heavily on its ability to respond to threats with speed and precision. The power of the hyperdrive system was driven by the ship's hypermatter annihilation reactor, a source of energy capable of providing the immense power required to push the ship into hyperspace. This reactor generated enough energy to maintain a stable hyperspace bubble around the Dreadnought, allowing it to move seamlessly through higher dimensional space. The principle of operation involved accelerating hyperparticles to faster-than-light velocities, creating the hyperspace conduit through which the Dreadnought could travel. The system's power output was immense, and the careful distribution of energy from the reactor was essential for ensuring that the hyperdrive operated in concert with the other vital systems aboard the ship. Maintaining a balance between energy usage and power distribution was key, particularly during long-distance journeys or rapid deployments, where the Dreadnought's weapons, shields, and propulsion systems needed to be kept at peak performance. The maintenance of the hyperdrive system was a constant concern, as the complex machinery required regular checks and recalibration. With its advanced components, such as the guidance relays, stabilizer coils, and energy conduits, the system demanded a skilled engineering crew to keep it in optimal condition. Regular diagnostics were essential for detecting any anomalies or malfunctions that could disrupt hyperspace travel, as a failure in the hyperdrive system could leave the ship stranded in hyperspace or prevent it from reaching its destination at a critical moment. The upkeep of the hyperdrive involved a detailed understanding of the interplay between the reactor's power output and the delicate balance needed for safe transitions into hyperspace. Given the ship's size and importance, specialized technicians and maintenance crews were stationed to monitor and repair any issues that could arise during its service. One of the key features of the Mandator IV class's hyperdrive was its ability to cover vast distances with impressive efficiency. The Dreadnought's hyperdrive was optimized for rapid travel, allowing it to move across star systems in a fraction of the time it would take conventional sublight travel. This made the ship a potent force in long-range operations, capable of responding to multiple fronts in a short period. However, despite its impressive speed, the hyperdrive was also energy-intensive, drawing significant power from the ship's reactor. This made the power management of the Dreadnought especially important, as the ship had to maintain enough energy for both hyperspace travel and combat operations. The integration of the hyperdrive into the ship's overall energy network was designed to ensure that all systems could operate simultaneously without overloading the reactor or causing catastrophic failures. The energy consumption of the Mandator full-class hyperdrive system was a significant factor in its overall design. While the hyperdrive didn't consume as much power as the ship's weaponry or shields during a battle, the energy required to shift into hyperspace and travel to distant locations was still substantial. During longer hyperspace jumps, or when making rapid transitions between systems, the reactor's output had to be carefully controlled to ensure that the Dreadnought could make multiple jumps without exhausting its energy reserves. The power distribution system aboard the ship was designed to allocate energy efficiently between the hyperdrive, weapons systems, shields, and auxiliary functions, ensuring that the Dreadnought could perform all necessary functions while maintaining a steady supply of energy. The hyperdrive system was not just a tool for rapid movement, it was the backbone of the Mandator IV class's role in galactic warfare. The ship's ability to travel across vast stretches of space quickly allowed it to project power across the galaxy, striking swiftly at enemy positions and overwhelming targets before they had time to react. With its ability to perform interplanetary maneuvers, the Mandator IV class could conduct multiple operations simultaneously, whether it was engaging in direct combat, providing reinforcements to other forces, or disrupting enemy supply lines. The hyperdrive allowed for such flexibility, making the Mandator IV class a versatile asset in the First Order's military arsenal. In the broader context of interplanetary warfare, the hyperdrive gave the Mandator IV class Star Dreadnought a crucial advantage. The sheer scale of galactic conflicts meant that ships needed to be able to engage in long-range operations, conduct surprise attacks, and reinforce sectors with little notice. The Mandator IV class was built to take full advantage of these capabilities, allowing the ship to respond to threats wherever they appeared, and engage enemy forces on a galactic scale. In this way, the hyperdrive system wasn't just about movement, it was a central element of the warship's offensive and strategic capabilities. The Mandator IV class's hyperdrive was designed to be a force multiplier, providing the ability to engage in rapid deployment and surprise strikes, while also enabling the Dreadnought to retreat or reposition quickly if needed. This ability to travel across vast distances in short amounts of time was critical for the First Order's strategy, allowing them to launch attacks across multiple sectors of the galaxy, create confusion among enemy forces, and maintain a fluid presence across the galaxy. The Mandator IV class could disrupt enemy plans by arriving at key locations ahead of schedule, or by executing hit-and-run tactics that left little time for the enemy to respond. This made the hyperdrive a strategic asset that greatly enhanced the ship's value in galactic warfare. Ultimately, the hyperdrive system of the Mandator IV class Star Dreadnought was more than just a technological marvel. It was the key to its role as one of the most formidable warships in the galaxy. By combining exceptional mobility with massive firepower and defensive capabilities, the Mandator IV class was able to engage in complex, large-scale operations across vast stretches of space. The integration of the hyperdrive into the Dreadnought's overall design ensured that it was able to take full advantage of the strategic flexibility and offensive power needed for success in interplanetary warfare on a galactic scale. The Mandator IV class Star Dreadnought was powered by an incredibly advanced and potent hypermatter annihilation reactor, which was integral to its formidable offensive and defensive capabilities. This power plant, the heart of the Dreadnought's energy system, was capable of producing vast amounts of power, essential not only for its weapon systems and shields, but also for its propulsion and hyperdrive system. The reactor was a marvel of engineering, drawing from hypermatter annihilation. a process that involved the controlled annihilation of hypermatter, a substance that existed outside the traditional physical laws of the galaxy. The resulting energy from this annihilation was then channeled into the ship's primary systems. Due to the immense power demands of the Mandator IV class, the reactor was designed with multiple redundancies and layers of safety features to ensure stability and avoid catastrophic failure. One of the critical components in this was the cooling system, which was vital for maintaining the safe operation of the reactor. Hypermatter annihilation produced substantial amounts of heat, and without an efficient means of heat dissipation, the reactor could easily overheat, leading to the potential loss of power or even reactor meltdown. The cooling systems consisted of complex heat exchangers, coolant flow pipes, and radiators spread throughout the Dreadnought, designed to manage the enormous heat produced by the reactor. These systems worked in concert with a series of thermal conduits, which helped direct heat to external radiators, ensuring that excess thermal energy was safely expelled into space. The cooling system's efficiency was critical, as any malfunction could result in severe damage to the power plant or the vessel itself. The power distribution system was equally sophisticated. It ensured that the energy produced by the reactor was distributed to the various systems of the Dreadnought, including the weapon systems, shields, engines, and auxiliary functions. The reactor's output was immense, and therefore the power distribution grid was equipped with energy relays, capacitors, and transformers to handle the immense currents and voltages. This network of conduits and relays prioritized the ship's vital systems, particularly during battle, ensuring that the energy demands of the orbital autocannons, point defense weapons, and shields were met without overloading any of the systems. Energy fuses and safety cutoffs were incorporated throughout the grid to protect sensitive equipment from power surges, ensuring that if there were any issues in the power distribution, they would be isolated before causing catastrophic failures. Additionally, the reactor was connected to a secondary power source in the event of primary reactor failure or damage. This system allowed the Dreadnought to maintain essential functions like shields and propulsion, even if the main reactor were to be damaged during combat. The secondary power systems operated with much lower capacity than the main reactor, but they ensured the ship could still carry out basic operations long enough for the crew to stabilize the situation or evacuate if necessary. The shielding system of the Mandator IV class was another critical component that relied heavily on the reactor's power. The ship's deflector shields, which were essential for defending the Dreadnought against enemy fire and asteroid impacts, were among the most advanced of their kind. The power plant fed directly into the shields, providing the energy necessary to project a powerful energy field around the ship. These shields were designed to absorb and dissipate energy from enemy blasts, withstanding continuous hits from multiple enemy warships. The shielding system also had several layers, with the inner shields offering protection from direct laser fire, and the outer shields providing a broader defense against heavier projectiles and larger-scale impacts. The power plant also supported the maneuvering engines and the main sublight propulsion systems, which gave the Mandator IV class its impressive speed and maneuverability. These engines required enormous amounts of power to push the Dreadnought through space, and the reactor ensured that energy was routed to the engines to achieve rapid acceleration and deceleration, as well as the ability to make sharp turns or evasive maneuvers when necessary. The integration of the reactor with the maneuvering systems was seamless, allowing the Dreadnought to act swiftly in battle while remaining a formidable force on the battlefield. The ship's auxiliary systems, which included the hyperdrive, life support systems, and communications arrays, also drew power from the reactor. The hyperdrive system in particular was one of the most power-hungry components of the ship, requiring massive amounts of energy to create a stable hyperspace bubble around the Dreadnought. The reactor's efficiency in providing consistent, reliable power to this system ensured the ship could make rapid interplanetary jumps when necessary. Finally, the fuses and safety systems embedded in the Mandator IV class's reactor ensured that the vessel could function safely under intense combat conditions. The fuses were designed to cut off power to certain systems if the reactor began to overload or if energy spikes were detected. This helped protect critical components from damage. The entire reactor unit was surrounded by a reinforced blast shield to protect the rest of the vessel in the event of a malfunction. And there were dedicated engineering teams tasked with maintaining and overseeing the health of the reactor to avoid any disruptions. In combat, the reactor's efficiency and the ability to power the ship's weapons, shields, and engines simultaneously allowed the Mandator IV class to engage multiple targets at once, project significant firepower, and endure prolonged battles without experiencing power outages. The integration of the reactor with the ship's advanced power distribution systems, cooling solutions, and shielding technology made the Mandator IV class Star Dreadnought one of the most formidable warships in the galaxy, designed to sustain prolonged engagements and dominate in both offensive and defensive maneuvers. In conclusion, the power plant of the Mandator IV class was central to its status as a dreadnought. Its hypermatter annihilation reactor, energy distribution networks, cooling systems, and protective shielding made it an unmatched force, capable of withstanding the harshest conditions of galactic warfare while maintaining the energy necessary for its deadly arsenal and strategic capabilities. The technology behind its reactor was a testament to the advanced engineering of the First Order, ensuring that the Mandator IV class Star Dreadnought could operate effectively across vast distances and in the heat of intense battle. The Mandator IV class Star Dreadnought was an imposing and technologically advanced warship designed to be a formidable force in space. Its main design was an intricate balance of offensive, defensive, and structural elements, all aimed at ensuring that the Dreadnought could perform effectively under the most extreme conditions of galactic warfare. With its massive dimensions, measuring 7,669.71 meters in length, 4,121.02 meters in width, and 770.85 meters in height, the Mandator IV class was a colossal vessel built for both strategic dominance and long-term operational capability. The exterior of the Mandator IV class featured a heavily reinforced hull designed to withstand the intense stresses of battle. The hull was constructed from a combination of advanced alloys, making it resilient to various forms of enemy fire, from blaster cannons to ionized plasma projectiles. The materials used in the hull were designed to absorb energy from incoming fire and disperse it through the structural framework, minimizing damage to the internal systems of the ship. This durability made the Mandator IV class one of the most difficult ships to cripple in battle, with the hull acting as both a physical and energy-absorbing barrier against incoming attacks. The ship's armor was particularly thick around key structural points, such as the reactor core, the orbital autocannon turrets, and the deflector shield generators. While the armor provided a strong initial defense against conventional weaponry, it was the combination of the deflector shields and corpuscular shields that gave the Mandator IV class its true resilience. The deflector shields were generated by 6 dedicated shield generators, positioned strategically across the vessel, designed to deflect enemy fire before it could even touch the armor. These shields could absorb and redirect energy from the fiercest attacks, rendering them invaluable in prolonged combat engagements. The corpuscular shields added another layer of defense, designed to protect the Dreadnought from direct physical impacts and debris. These shields also had a built-in repulsion function, deflecting any projectiles, shrapnel, or incoming attacks that might bypass the deflector shields. Within the ship, the interior layout was designed for both functionality and comfort, ensuring that the Mandator IV class could sustain long-term operations with a large crew and diverse personnel. The crew cabins were lined with specialized materials that helped insulate against the intense vibrations of combat, providing the crew with an environment conducive to focus and efficiency. These cabins were equipped with advanced life support systems, ensuring breathable air and the regulation of temperature even during the most intense conditions. The galleys and rest areas were carefully planned to maintain the well-being of the crew, with food production facilities capable of providing for a large number of personnel over extended periods. These spaces included dining halls and relaxation areas where the crew could unwind during downtime. Workshops were located throughout the Dreadnought, used for the maintenance and repair of essential systems and weapons. These workshops were fully stocked with tools, machinery, and spare parts, allowing the ship's engineering teams to perform quick repairs during combat or routine operations. The corridors of the Mandator IV class were wide enough to accommodate the passage of large groups of personnel, allowing for quick movement between vital areas of the ship. Several elevators were placed throughout the vessel, providing vertical access between the various decks. In case of emergency stairs were built into the ship's design, ensuring that the crew could quickly and safely evacuate from any part of the ship if necessary. These stairs were complemented by emergency control posts, which were spread throughout the vessel, each containing vital control systems for ship-wide communication, damage control, and defense systems. The bulkheads of the ship were reinforced to prevent the spread of damage in the event of a breach. These sections of the ship were designed to be sealed off and isolated from the rest of the vessel if any part of the ship was compromised, helping to contain any explosive decompressions, fires, or other hazardous events. These bulkheads were automated, with internal systems capable of detecting breaches and sealing them off without manual input. Additionally, fire suppression systems were integrated into the bulkheads to handle any combustion incidents. Communication was another integral part of the Mandator IV class's functionality. The ship featured an advanced communication system, capable of long-range transmissions across the galaxy, ensuring real-time coordination with other ships in the fleet and command centers. These systems were equipped with redundancy protocols to ensure that, in the event of a malfunction, alternate channels and methods of communication could be quickly employed. The scanners aboard the ship were cutting-edge, providing the crew with a comprehensive view of the battlefield. From tactical analysis of enemy movements to the detection of hidden threats, the Mandator IV class was equipped with multiple sensor arrays that could detect everything from incoming projectiles to the faintest energy signature. These scanners were essential for both offensive targeting and defensive maneuvering. The vessel also featured large holds and warehouses, used for the storage of weapons, supplies, and other vital materials required for long-term missions. These areas were carefully organized, with automated systems that helped keep inventory and manage supply levels. Additionally, the wiring of the power supply systems ran throughout the vessel, connecting the main power plant to various subsystems. These power cables were reinforced and insulated to prevent any disruptions or shorts during combat situations. Finally, the lighting systems aboard the Mandator IV class were designed for both visibility and atmosphere. While the ship's primary focus was on functionality, the lighting was also meant to provide an efficient and comfortable environment for the crew. The lighting could be adjusted based on the operational conditions, dimming during battle for better stealth, or brightening during periods of rest. In total, the Mandator IV class Star Dreadnought represented a marvel of military engineering, with every aspect of its design focused on efficiency, survivability, and offensive power. From its reinforced hull to its advanced shields, its integrated communication systems, and its focus on crew comfort and safety, the Dreadnought was a true testament to the immense scale and firepower that the First Order could bring to bear in the galaxy. Whether engaging in fleet battles or standing as a lone sentinel, the Mandator IV class was built to dominate the battlefield and maintain operational supremacy across vast stretches of space. The Mandator IV class Star Dreadnought was a colossal and highly organized vessel that required a meticulously structured hierarchy to ensure its efficient operation across the vast number of systems it supported. The ship's personnel were divided into various categories of responsibility, each vital to the ship's overall mission. A total of 53,000 officers, 140,000 enlisted personnel, and 22,000 stormtroopers formed the backbone of the Dreadnought's crew, ensuring its combat readiness and operational capacity at all times. The officer corps aboard the Mandator IV class was headed by the commanding officer, who was responsible for the ship's overall strategic direction, operational success, and command decisions. Below them were various senior officers, such as executive officers, chief engineers, and tactical commanders, who managed specific divisions and ensured that all aspects of the vessel operated smoothly. The officer ranks followed a strict military hierarchy, with promotions often based on performance, seniority, and merit. Below the senior officers, the middle officers were responsible for managing day-to-day operations, keeping the various departments running efficiently. These officers included division leaders, such as those in charge of weapons, propulsion, and communications, and they ensured that all the specialized teams under their command adhered to protocols and maintained the vessel's systems. The junior officers were typically newer to the service and responsible for more hands-on tasks, often serving under middle officers to gain practical experience and training for further advancement. The enlisted personnel formed the majority of the ship's crew, taking on a wide range of essential roles in support of the officers and overall ship operations. Enlisted personnel worked in various departments such as engineering, communications, operations, medical, and weapons maintenance. Their training was intense, designed to ensure that every crew member had a solid understanding of the specific systems they would operate, as well as the overarching needs of the ship. To manage the vast number of personnel, the Mandator IV class was divided into various detachments, each focused on a specific operational area. These detachments included engineering teams that kept the ship's engines and power systems running smoothly, maintenance teams for weapons and defensive systems, medical teams for crew health and combat injuries, and supply teams responsible for managing the vast amounts of materials the ship carried. The ship was also home to numerous stormtrooper detachments, each led by an officer and tasked with security, ground operations, and boarding actions when necessary. Crew training was a continuous process aboard the Mandator IV class, with every member receiving specialized instruction according to their department and role. Officers underwent rigorous leadership and tactical training, ensuring that they were prepared to make critical decisions under pressure. Enlisted personnel received extensive technical training, becoming experts in their respective fields, from operating advanced weapons systems to performing high-level repairs on the ship's engines. Stormtroopers, with their unique role in security and combat, underwent specialized military training focused on both conventional and unconventional warfare tactics, along with physical conditioning. To ensure operational continuity, the Mandator IV class operated on a strict shift schedule. Shifts were divided into watches, typically lasting 4 to 8 hours depending on the operational needs and combat status of the ship. During combat or critical missions, the ship operated on a high alert status, and personnel were expected to be ready for extended hours of service. In normal times, however, the ship ran on a more balanced schedule, allowing crew members to rest and recuperate. Life aboard the Mandator IV class was not for the faint-hearted. The ship's vast scale and technological complexity meant that the crew was constantly on high alert, ready to respond to threats from within or outside the ship. Despite the challenges, crew members often found camaraderie among their peers, forming strong bonds during the long stretches of time spent in deep space. Recreational facilities were available, offering a welcome break from the rigors of military service. The galleys and rest areas allowed crew members to relax, socialize, and take meals, while the workshops and training rooms provided a venue for skill building and personal development. Vacations were rare, but essential for the well-being of the crew. The Mandator IV class operated for long periods in deep space, often far from any habitable planets. However, once certain objectives had been completed, crew members could receive limited leave to travel to rest facilities or participate in leisure activities on military stations or planets within the fleet's control. Crew members with special roles, such as senior officers or essential staff, often had a more structured leave schedule to ensure the continuity of command. Service aboard the Mandator IV class was regarded as an honor, as the ship was one of the most powerful in the First Order's fleet. The personnel aboard were expected to adhere to the highest standards of conduct, professionalism, and military discipline. Crew members were held accountable for maintaining operational readiness at all times, and failure to do so could result in serious consequences. Promotions were earned through demonstrated performance, and for many, service aboard the Mandator IV class was a path to greater prestige and higher rank within the First Order military hierarchy. The ship's stormtroopers operated somewhat separately from the regular crew, focused on combat operations and security. These elite soldiers trained rigorously for ground combat, boarding actions, and any situation requiring tactical intervention. They followed a slightly different hierarchy, with stormtrooper officers leading the rank-and-file troopers through the most dangerous operations. In sum, the Mandator IV class Star Dreadnought operated as a highly organized and efficient combat machine, with a disciplined and expertly trained crew, ensuring that it remained a dominant force in the galaxy. The officers, enlisted personnel, and stormtroopers all played critical roles in ensuring the success of the ship's missions, maintaining the operational readiness of the vessel, and preserving the First Order's strategic interests. The life aboard the Dreadnought was demanding, but for those who served, it was a crucial part of the ongoing battle for galactic supremacy. The Mandator IV-class Star Dreadnought was equipped with a formidable complement of TIE/FO space superiority fighters and TIE/SF space superiority fighters, which formed the core of its air and space combat capability. These starfighters were designed for rapid deployment and were integral to the overall strategy of the Mandator IV class, allowing it to maintain control of space around the Dreadnought and carry out offensive operations against enemy fleets and planetary targets. The TIE foe fighters, developed by the First Order, were designed specifically for space superiority, offering high-speed maneuverability, heavy firepower, and solid protection against enemy starfighters and capital ships. These versatile fighters, though lacking advanced shielding, made up the majority of the Mandator II's combat air group, forming the first line of defense and offense in any space battle. The TIE-SF fighters, a variant designed for advanced tactical operations, featured enhanced sensor systems and heavier armament, making them ideal for specialized missions such as bombing raids, reconnaissance, and escort duties. The two variants worked in tandem, with the TIE/FO fighters providing space superiority and the TIE/SF fighters offering support and more specialized roles. The complement of TIE fighters aboard the Mandator IV class was organized into various wings and squadrons, with each wing typically consisting of several squadrons of TIE-FO and TIE-SF fighters, as well as interceptors and other specialized craft. The squadrons were further divided into flights, with each flight assigned specific roles based on the mission at hand. The leadership of these squadrons was entrusted to experienced pilots, who were often chosen for their combat experience, tactical acumen, and leadership ability. Squadron commanders were responsible for the coordination of their pilots during operations, maintaining discipline, ensuring that tactics were followed, and adapting to changing combat situations. In terms of combat schedule, the Mandator IV class operated with a highly regimented timetable to ensure that its pilots were always prepared for battle. Pilots were frequently rotated through training and patrol duties, with specialized missions assigned based on the strategic needs of the ship. Training exercises were frequent, ensuring that all pilots were up to date with the latest tactics, combat maneuvers, and ship systems. Training typically took place both in simulators and in live combat exercises, where pilots could hone their skills in real-world scenarios. Given the advanced technology and highly dangerous nature of the TIE fighters, the training was intense, and failure to meet expectations could result in demotion or even removal from duty. During combat, the TIE fighters operated as part of a larger, coordinated effort, often supporting the Mandator IV class's offensive capabilities, while also defending the Dreadnought from enemy starfighters, bombers, and other threats. The TIE-FO fighters were the primary offensive weapon in space combat, deployed in rapid waves to overwhelm enemy positions and establish dominance over the battlefield. The TIE-SF fighters, on the other hand, supported the TIE-FO units by conducting precision strikes against enemy capital ships, bombers, or high-value targets. When engaging in combat, the pilots relied heavily on their tactics, which emphasized speed, agility, and coordinated strikes. TIE fighter pilots were trained to use their speed and maneuverability to outmaneuver enemy fighters while maintaining a constant barrage of fire. In raids or patrols, the TIE-FO and TIE-SF fighters worked together to strike against enemy convoys, settlements, or military installations. The TIE fighters' lack of shields was compensated for by their sheer speed and aggressive attack patterns, which often caught opponents off guard. The TIE-SF fighters, with their additional sensors and weaponry, provided strategic support, scouting ahead of the main group, targeting weak points in the enemy's defense, and taking down key assets like command centers or heavy artillery. Outside of combat, the TIE fighter pilots underwent a grueling schedule of patrols and drills, where they would practice evasive maneuvers, targeting, and formation flying. These patrols ensured the Mandator IV class was never caught off guard, keeping the ship's airspace clear and defending it against potential threats. The ship's air group also performed long-range reconnaissance missions, scouting for enemy activity, testing out enemy defenses, or gathering intelligence on potential targets. These missions were often coordinated with the Mandator IV's advanced sensor systems, allowing pilots to relay critical information back to the ship's command center. The takeoff speed of the TIE fighters aboard the Mandator IV class was exceptional, with both the TIE-FO and TIE-SF models capable of launching from the ship's hangars in mere moments, ready to engage any target. The fighters' engines provided both impressive speed and acceleration, allowing them to quickly close in on hostile forces or retreat to safety when needed. The efficiency of their propulsion systems ensured that they could travel long distances quickly, with minimal maintenance required between combat missions. The air group pilots aboard the Mandator IV class were among the best trained in the galaxy, selected for their combat prowess, reflexes, and ability to perform under extreme pressure. They were also well versed in the tactical integration of their fighters into the larger operational picture, working closely with the ship's command staff to ensure that their objectives aligned with the overall mission of the Mandator IV class. Leadership within the TIE fighter squadrons was paramount, with squadron leaders making real-time decisions during engagements, directing pilots to exploit weaknesses in enemy formations and respond to sudden threats. In conclusion, the Air and Space Combat Group aboard the Mandator IV class Star Dreadnought was a highly specialized, well-organized, and disciplined force that could carry out a wide variety of missions, from planetary raids and long-range patrols to full-scale space battles. With a focus on speed, precision, and overwhelming firepower, the TIE fighter pilots were essential to the Dreadnought's success in battle, providing both offensive and defensive support while adapting to the ever-changing dynamics of galactic warfare. Their training, leadership, and tactical expertise made them a critical element in the Mandator II's overall strategy, ensuring that it remained a dominant force on the battlefield. The Mandator IV class Siege Dreadnought stands as a testament to the advanced engineering and manufacturing prowess of Quat and Trala Engineering, a subsidiary of the renowned Quat Drive Yards, known for its dominance in large-scale warship production. Designed specifically to meet the strategic needs of the First Order, the Mandator IV class was a highly ambitious project that blended innovative technologies with lessons learned from previous Dreadnought classes. The design was heavily influenced by the iconic Executor-class Star Dreadnought, but was re-engineered to be a versatile and more specialized tool for planetary sieges and prolonged combat operations, capable of devastating entire planets with its heavy artillery. The warship featured a modular design, which allowed for significant flexibility and adaptability depending on the mission requirements. This modularity extended to both its weaponry and its defensive systems, enabling the Mandator IV class to be tailored to a wide range of scenarios, from long-range artillery bombardments to sustained bombardment in planetary assaults. The design process for the Mandator IV class was no small feat. Quat and Trala Engineering used advanced simulation technologies, testing iterations of the ship's systems and configurations long before construction began. This approach ensured that the warship would meet the stringent demands of the First Order and be able to perform in the most demanding of battle environments. The design incorporated cutting-edge technologies, including its two massive orbital autocannons, capable of firing quick, destructive salvos capable of obliterating planetary shields and vaporizing massive sections of planetary crust. These weapons alone made the Mandator IV class one of the most feared ships in its class. Additionally, the Dreadnought was equipped with a formidable suite of point defense laser cannons and tractor beam projectors to protect it from enemy starfighters and small craft, ensuring its dominance in space battles. Quat and Trala Engineering's shipyards, located within the Quat system, were key to the creation of the Mandator IV class Siege Dreadnought. These shipyards were some of the most advanced in the galaxy, capable of constructing ships of such immense size and complexity. The shipyards employed a combination of gravity, well generators, specialized assembly lines, and automated systems that ensured the rapid and efficient construction of the Dreadnought. The Mandator IV class, with its length of 7,669.71 meters, required the coordination of thousands of workers and technicians across multiple production stages. The ship's massive reactor core, its advanced weaponry, and its intricate defensive systems were all built in separate specialized facilities before being shipped to the main assembly yard for integration. This process allowed the ship to be assembled in a modular fashion, with individual components built, tested, and then joined together for final assembly. The modular construction not only reduced costs and saved valuable time, but also allowed for modifications to be made based on the specific requirements of the First Order fleet. The logistics of constructing such a vast vessel also demanded careful planning. Supply lines had to be established to ensure that raw materials, energy sources, and components were available at all times. The Quat and Trala Engineering shipyards relied on a highly efficient system to manage the massive flow of resources required to build the Mandator IV class. Workers at the shipyards were divided into teams that specialized in specific aspects of construction, from welding and metalworking to wiring and electronics. These specialized teams worked in concert to assemble the ship in a timely manner, making the shipyards a hive of activity. Due to the scale of the project, labor was divided between organic workers and droid laborers, the latter being responsible for handling heavy lifting and repetitive tasks, allowing the organic workforce to focus on more skilled roles. In addition to engineers and technicians, security forces were also stationed at the shipyards to prevent espionage or sabotage from outside forces. The First Order understood the immense value of their new weapon, and as such, the shipyards were heavily protected. Security personnel were equipped with advanced surveillance systems, while highly trained guards patrolled the perimeter of the facility. Droids were used for routine maintenance and repairs, ensuring that the massive shipyards functioned without delay. The Mandator IV class was designed to serve as a critical component of the First Order's war machine. It was specifically intended to be used in the most critical planetary sieges, capable of withstanding attacks and retaliating with overwhelming firepower. The Dreadnought's combination of powerful weapons, extensive defensive measures, and immense size made it a versatile warship in any combat scenario. Its ability to rain destruction upon planets made it a powerful symbol of the First Order's might, instilling fear across the galaxy. Once completed, the ship was launched and underwent rigorous testing, where its various systems were evaluated to ensure that they performed to specification. After these tests, the Mandator IV class was deployed in the field, where it was employed to devastating effect in various battles against the Resistance and other factions opposing the First Order. Kuat and Trala Engineering's shipyards, with their highly efficient production lines and advanced technologies, were crucial to the development of the Mandator I class. The use of modular construction allowed the shipyards to maintain a rapid pace of production, while ensuring that each warship was a state-of-the-art marvel of galactic warfare. With its destructive power and versatility, the Mandator IV class siege Dreadnought became an essential part of the First Order's fleet, solidifying Kuat and Trala Engineering's position as one of the premier manufacturers of military starships in the galaxy. The warship, with its powerful weapons, defensive systems, and technological sophistication, played a critical role in the First Order's campaign to maintain control over the galaxy and crush any resistance that stood in their way. The Mandator IV class siege Dreadnought was one of the many powerful warships developed by the First Order under the secretive Project Resurrection, a vast effort aimed at rebuilding the military might of the Galactic Empire after its fall. The project, designed to create an unstoppable fleet, focused on developing new, more advanced vessels to dominate the galaxy. The Mandator IV class was among the most formidable of these new designs, constructed to serve as the core of the First Order's flagship assault forces. The design of the Mandator IV class was heavily influenced by the legacy of the Executor-class Star Dreadnought, Darth Vader's iconic flagship. This connection to the Executor was not merely aesthetic but strategic, as the Mandator IV was intended to carry forward the Empire's tradition of massive firepower and overwhelming dominance. Like the Executor, the Mandator IV class was designed with sheer destruction in mind, although its focus was on siege warfare, making it especially potent in orbital bombardment and planetary assaults. This class of warship was equipped with advanced weaponry capable of obliterating entire planets, along with shielding, armor, and speed that made it one of the deadliest assets in the First Order's arsenal. The Mandator IV class was introduced after years of development and was crafted to address the First Order's need for a warship that could withstand the pressures of galactic conquest. While the Executor was a symbol of the Empire's vast power, the Mandator IV was designed for practicality in combat, focusing on the ability to withstand concentrated fire from enemy forces and deliver devastating attacks of its own. The warship's ability to lay waste to enemy worlds made it a central component in the First Order's strategy of terror and dominance. With its orbital autocannons, capable of vaporizing planetary crusts, and its overwhelming firepower, the Mandator IV was designed to cripple the most fortified of defenses and render entire civilizations powerless. The development of the Mandator I-IV class was initially cloaked in secrecy, with most of the First Order's resources dedicated to improving its predecessors, like the Mandator II class, and refining the methods of planetary subjugation. However, As the First Order began to assert itself across the galaxy, the need for a more specialized siege vessel became clear. The Mandator IV class filled this gap, combining superior firepower with cutting-edge technology, such as enhanced deflector shields, massive energy reactors, and specialized long-range weaponry. As the Mandator IV-class siege Dreadnought became operational, it was deployed in several key campaigns across the galaxy. Its primary function was as a siege platform, capable of engaging heavily fortified positions and reducing entire planets to rubble with its orbital autocannons and devastating bombardment capabilities. The Mandator IV was seen as a harbinger of destruction, striking fear into the hearts of both rebel forces and civilian populations alike. Its imposing presence on the battlefield ensured that the First Order could quickly assert control over rebellious systems and planets, consolidating power and stamping out opposition. One of the most notable uses of the Mandator IV class occurred during the Battle of Dakar, where its unmatched firepower and siege capabilities were showcased. In this battle, the Mandator IV was instrumental in devastating enemy defenses and suppressing any attempts at resistance. The Dreadnought's ability to inflict massive damage in a short amount of time made it an invaluable asset in the First Order's strategy of intimidation and annihilation. The Mandator II's success in this battle further solidified its reputation as one of the most dangerous and effective warships in the galaxy. Over time, as the First Order expanded its control and influence, the Mandator IV class became a key symbol of its military might, used to impose fear and compliance across star systems. Its imposing size, formidable armament, and devastating capabilities ensured that no planet was safe from its wrath. The Mandator IV was not just a weapon, it was a statement, an assertion of the First Order's dominance and its ability to crush all who opposed it. In the ongoing legacy of the Mandator IV class, its design and tactical concepts would influence future generations of First Order warships, ensuring that the First Order's reach extended far beyond what the Galactic Empire had ever achieved. While the Mandator IV was built to be a weapon of conquest, it would later serve as the basis for even larger, more advanced warships that would continue the First Order's campaign for galactic domination. After successfully infiltrating the resurgent-class Star Destroyer Retribution, Iden Versio and her droid companion Dio managed to slice into the ship's computer terminals, risking their lives in the process. Their goal was clear: gather vital intelligence on the First Order's covert operations, particularly regarding Project Resurrection. As they navigated through the ship's secure systems, they uncovered several pieces of classified information, including blueprints for the Mandator IV-class siege Dreadnought, a powerful warship at the heart of the First Order's military campaign. The Mandator IV class, still in development, was a heavily fortified siege vessel designed to deliver devastating blows to enemy systems. Iden and Dio's discovery of these plans was a significant breakthrough for the Rebel Alliance, as it revealed the First Order's intentions to bolster their fleet with even more advanced weaponry. The Mandator II's capabilities, its orbital autocannons capable of vaporizing planetary crusts and overwhelming planetary defenses, were detailed in the documents. These weapons were intended for the subjugation of whole planets, making the First Order an even greater threat. The blueprints also offered insights into the warship's shielding systems, armament configurations, and power plant designs, all critical information for future countermeasures and strategy. The revelation of the Mandator IV class was a game-changer, shedding light on the First Order's focus on planetary siege tactics and their increasing ability to threaten galactic stability. The intelligence gathered during this mission was invaluable, providing the Rebel Alliance with the means to better understand and prepare for the First Order's growing technological might. However, the discovery also highlighted the First Order's technological superiority and the need for the rebels to adapt and strategize in response to the imminent threat posed by warships like the Mandator IV-class siege Dreadnought. Iden and Dio's mission, though successful, came at a cost. The First Order would undoubtedly take steps to ensure that such intelligence leaks were minimized, intensifying the ongoing battle between the two forces. Nonetheless, the discovery of the Mandator IV-class blueprints marked a crucial turning point, as it provided the Rebel Alliance with vital knowledge of the First Order's war machines, knowledge they could use to weaken the enemy and fight back against the rising tide of Imperial dominance. During the intense war between the First Order and the Resistance, the Fulminatrix, a powerful dreadnought commanded by Captain Moden Kennedy, played a pivotal role in the siege of Dakar, a key resistance base located in the Elenium system. The Fulminatrix, which was part of a task force consisting of 3 Resurgent-class star destroyers under the command of General Armitage Hux, was tasked with overwhelming the Resistance's defenses. The Fulminatrix's primary weaponry included its devastating underbelly autocannons, capable of causing massive destruction. It was these very weapons that were used to destroy the Resistance's base on Dakar, sending a clear message about the First Order's overwhelming power and their resolve to eliminate the Resistance. Despite the scale of the attack, the Resistance's leaders knew they could not simply surrender to such an overwhelming enemy, and they quickly mounted a counteroffensive. Resistance Commander Poe Dameron, flying his trusted T-70 X-Wing starfighter Black One, led the initial strike against the Fulminatrix's point defense systems. With his expert piloting skills, he succeeded in disabling the Dreadnought's defensive cannons, creating an opening for the Resistance forces. Poe, ever resourceful and brave, then organized a bombing run of MG-100 Star Fortress SF-17 bombers, directing them to attack key points on the Fulminatrix. The battle that followed was fierce and chaotic. The Fulminatrix, with its formidable weaponry and shields, fought back aggressively. But the Resistance pilots and bombers pushed on, relentlessly targeting the Dreadnought's weaknesses. In a final desperate act, the last surviving Resistance bomber, though heavily damaged and on the brink of destruction, managed to land a decisive blow on the Fulminatrix, striking its critical systems and ensuring its destruction. With the Fulminatrix in ruins, the Resistance forces managed to escape the Elenium system, although at great cost. The battle for Dakar was a significant victory for the Resistance, but it also served as a stark reminder of the First Order's might and the long, hard road ahead for those fighting to free the galaxy from its oppressive regime. Despite the heavy losses sustained, the Resistance proved its resilience once again, showing that they would continue to fight against the First Order, no matter the odds. After the harrowing escape from Castellon, the Colossus, a massive refueling station, found itself traveling to Dakar, the site of the recent battle. The Resistance's victory came at great cost, but the Colossus had a pressing need. It was running dangerously low on coaxium, the highly volatile fuel required for hyperspace travel. In a daring move to secure the precious fuel, members of the Colossus's crew set out to raid the wreckage of the Fulminatrix, which, though devastated by the recent battle, still contained a wealth of usable resources. The Fulminatrix's internal systems were still partially functional, allowing the crew to access the ship's stores of coaxium. The crew's swift actions ensured they could retrieve enough of the vital resource to keep the Colossus operational and continue the fight against the First Order. However, the First Order was not far behind. They quickly tracked the Colossus's movements from Castellon to Dakar, and upon discovering their presence, launched a brief but intense engagement. Despite the First Order's pursuit, the crew of the Colossus managed to stay one step ahead, successfully extracting the necessary coaxium before making a timely escape. In a dramatic sequence, the Colossus powered up its hyperdrive and leaped to hyperspace, narrowly evading the First Order's grasp once again. This close call was a testament to the crew's resourcefulness and determination, but it also underscored the growing tension between the Resistance and the First Order. With every victory, the Resistance found itself faced with increasingly dire challenges, but they would not relent in their fight for freedom. After the Battle of Crate, where the Resistance made their last stand against the overwhelming forces of the First Order, the Resistance scattered across the galaxy, desperately trying to evade capture. However, their signals were detected, and the First Order tracked a transmission that led them to the planet Tahnuhna. Tahnuhna, known for its policy of strict neutrality and a culture that revered helping travelers in need, had always prided itself on remaining outside galactic conflicts. Despite the Tahnuhna leadership's pleas for mercy and their assurances that the planet was neutral, General Armitage Hux, ever eager to crush any resistance to the First Order, was relentless in his pursuit of the remaining rebels. He ordered that the planet be destroyed as a demonstration of the First Order's uncompromising authority, intending to make an example of those who dared defy them. Leading the attack was a massive fleet of Resurgent-class star destroyers, with at least one Mandator-class siege dreadnought present. its orbital autocannons capable of devastating planetary targets with ease. As the First Order forces descended upon Ta Nuna, the Mandator-class siege dreadnought fired its powerful weapons on the planet's surface, obliterating vast areas with each shot. Meanwhile, TIE/SE bombers were deployed to carpet-bomb key locations, leaving nothing but destruction in their wake. The carnage did not stop there. Snowtroopers were sent down to the surface, where they ruthlessly massacred the Ta Nuna people in one of the planet's largest cities. Despite their neutral stance, the Ta Nuna's refusal to help the First Order was seen as a slight, and the destruction was meant as a brutal reminder of the consequences for anyone who stood in the way of the First Order's dominance. The attack on Ta Nuna was another dark chapter in the saga of the First Order's unrelenting conquest, leaving the galaxy with little hope for resistance and further solidifying the First Order's reputation for brutality and absolute power.